Hello and welcome to another episode of Earth911's Sustainability in Your Ear. I'm Mitch Ratcliffe. We are back to have another fascinating conversation today about the gray wolf. The gray wolf faces extinction again after a dramatic recovery over the past 50 years. There were as few as 300 wolves left in the United States when they were added to the Endangered Species List in 1970. And by 2019, the total North American population had reached 6,000, and small wolf populations had been reestablished in a dozen states. Then, the Trump administration moved to delist the gray wolf, and hunters went after this beautiful animal with a vengeance. 25, or about a third of the wolves in Yellowstone National Park, have been killed this winter. Idaho reintroduced trapping, and Wyoming allocated 47 wolf hunting tags, which allows you to kill multiple wolves. We could lose half the wolf population in just 1 year. The states of Montana and Idaho have new laws that could eliminate 90% of their wolf populations. Our guest today is Marc Cooke, an advocate for wolf protection and the president of Wolves of the Rockies, who can explain the controversy and the next step in the battle to protect the gray wolf. There is some good news. In February, a federal court judge issued a ruling that reversed the Trump-era decision to remove the gray wolf from the Endangered Species List. But that doesn't mean the story's over. Wyoming, Idaho, and Montana continue to encourage wolf hunting. You can learn more about Marc and the Wolves of the Rockies organization at wolvesoftherockies.org. Wolves of the Rockies is all one word, no dashes. Welcome to the show, Marc. How are you today?
Mitch, I'm fine. And I got to be honest with you, I'm incredibly happy to meet you and have an opportunity to get the word out on the current wolf slaughter taking place in the Rocky Mountains.
Well, it's an important thing. I myself have raised some hybrid wolf pups in my life, and they're remarkable animals. Unlike any of the representations, they are kind, social, thoughtful, smart animals that we treat as though, in fact, we paint them as dumb, vengeful animals, and they are not. So when we scheduled this interview, the situation was really dire. Hunters were killing wolves and pups in their dens. They were trapping all across the West. And then this federal court decision came along. Did this actually change anything?
You know, it's a good question. It did for all the wolves in the U.S. except for the Rocky Mountain wolves. And to be honest with you, Mitch, I'm not trying to belittle the other wolves that are being killed in the U.S., but there's not as many. Idaho, Wyoming, and Montana are hell-bent on killing as many wolves. And what used to be the ceiling, or what used to be the floor for the Endangered Species Act of having 150 wolves, 15 breeding pair, is now the ceiling. So what I'm telling everybody is that there's a good chance if we can't get this right, raise our voice, and get these wolves back on the protection of the Endangered Species Act, we're probably going to lose 2,500 wolves.
And out of a population of 6,000 in the entire of North America, and most of those are in Canada. So Let me ask this, and I think this is the most important point. What are the benefits of having a robust apex predator population like the wolf in nature? What happens when they aren't there?
Oh my gosh. I can fall back to Yellowstone. What's happening is, well, I can go at this a couple ways. We'll talk about Yellowstone and how the wolves changed the behavior of the bison and the other ungulates. The elk, the deer, the moose were overgrazing. They had there was no threat to their life. So what they could do is they could stay in one place and just overgraze. And what that does is it depletes the actual forage that these animals need to exist. And in doing that, you know, you're knocking down the vegetation that is on stream beds, which we need for, you know, cold, cool water, clean water. They're the unintended consequences of what wolves do is incredible. From the hunting angle of it, what it's done is it's made the ethical hunting community, what I call the Leopolians, that want to hunt elk, the behavior's changing. So now what you're getting, instead of a elk who's acting like a cow in the middle of a field, you have to actually go out and hunt. It's a better hunt. But that causes problems with the unethical hunting community. The Safari Club likes and the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation likes, that now they got to work for that animal and they're not too happy about it.
Well, we should be a little less lazy if we're deciding to go out and hunt for our food. It's easy enough to go to the store if you're really that concerned. But you just made a really important point, which is we talk about wildlife management, but in fact, the wolf is the manager in that scenario.
Absolutely.
It keeps not just prevents the overgrazing in one place, but it keeps those animals moving. And that's part of a system that we are stripping away from nature and expecting nature somehow to just continue to operate as though nothing had changed. But everything is changing.
Right. I absolutely agree.
So what are the next steps in the legal battle? The Biden administration actually at one point defended the effort to delist the wolf. Are they changing their position? And does the recent decision by Judge Jeffrey White face a potential reversal in a higher court?
Sure. I'm really kind of disappointed. I think others should be disappointed in what the Biden administration is doing or what they're not doing. I think we have another 30 or 35 days left on being able to encourage the Biden administration, Deb Haaland, and who is the Secretary of the Interior, and Martha Williams, who is the Director of Fish Wildlife Service, to not appeal the decision made by Judge White. Because I can assure you that the opposition to this, the safari clubs, the Rocky Mountain Elks, the NRA, they're out there. They're pushing their members and their leaders. Their leadership is pushing everybody to write into the Biden administration, say you need to appeal this decision. So we need to be doing the same thing. And
now, are you organizing a mail-in program or a petition?
Oh, absolutely. One good thing that our side has is Wolves of the Rockies is a founding member of relistwolves.org. Mm-hmm. And if you go, I encourage everybody, it takes just a couple minutes. If you go to relistwolves.org, you'll be able to get accurate information, and we will walk you through how you can register with the Biden administration and say, hey, listen, you have to get it right here. You need to not only not appeal that decision, but you need to put protection on the Rocky Mountain wolves. They're the ones that are getting hammered right now.
So let's talk about why wolves get a bad rap. I mean, certainly fairy tales contribute a lot, but people like Teddy Roosevelt, who hunted them for sport on the assumption that they threatened to kill cattle and farm animals, also have reinforced this basic prejudice against the wolf. Do wolves actually do extensive damage to cattle or elk herds?
Oh my gosh, no. Actually, they don't prey on herd cattle. They prefer elk, and that's part of the problem with the hunting community. But no, I want to say last year, and we have what they call in Montana the Livestock Loss Board. And what it does is if you are a livestock producer and you lose a cattle today, you lose one cow, and it's either a probable wolf kill or a confirmed wolf kill, and that decision is made by wildlife services who come out and they look at the animal. If they decide that that animal is probable or confirmed kill by a wolf, what happens is the value of that animal on the market at that closing of that day is what you will receive from the Livestock Loss Board Reimbursement Fund.
So you don't even lose anything if you're a rancher. So how many cattle were killed by wolves in Montana last year?
Oh gosh, we lost, I think, around 64 cattle. But Mitch, here's the thing. This is, and we helped develop and get the Livestock Loss Board and reimbursement program
Mhm.
through the legislation about 10 years ago in Montana. But here's the thing, Mitch. At that point in time, up until about 2 years ago, um, you got the market value of that animal on that day that it was killed. But
Hey,
now
so
they
you
have
get
a
cashed out.
multiplier. They have a multiplier, Mitch. So if your cow dies today and it's worth $1,000, you now get a multiplier of three. That cow is worth $3,000. So it's a
Okay.
moneymaker.
So now, as I understand it, Montana has killed 252 wolves to date, which is
Right,
a multiple of the number of cattle attributed to wolf predation.
right.
And yet, if you're a rancher, you're going to make more money if a wolf kills your cow than if you butcher it and send it to market.
Right.
That's astonishing.
Not only is it astonishing, I actually feel it's not right because a lot of the livestock producers, not all, there are some progressive livestock producers
Mhm.
like the Anderson Ranch in Paradise Valley, the Blackfoot Challenge out of the Orlando area. They're trying to coexist with big carnivores, wolves and
Mhm.
grizzly bears.
Mhm.
And they have the fladry, they have the turbo fladry. They're doing all the right things to live with these animals. But then you have other producers who aren't doing very much to live with these animals. It's just easier to report it to Wildlife Service, and eventually it'll catch up to you. You'll get a check in the mail from the Livestock Loss Board.
Do you have any sense of how many head of Montana cattle have died due to illness or weather by contrast to the 64 cattle that were killed by wolves?
It's a tough number to iron down, but I will tell you this. We lost, like I said, like 64 cattle last year
Mhm.
to wolves. There's 2.6 million cattle in Montana, and Montana is 144,000 square miles.
Right.
So the animal, I can't give you an exact number. I wish I could. It's such a hard number to come up with. But I will tell you this. Domestic dogs, of the cattle that died in Montana
Mhm.
last year, disease killed 5%, digestive problems killed 13%, unidentified health problems killed 18%, respiratory animal problems killed 26%. And here's the thing, Mitch. About 5 or 6 years ago, we had a lightning strike not far from where I live in the Bitterroot Valley. The lightning strike killed 45 animals in one night.
So
It's
wolves
unreasonable.
are a trivial nuisance
Oh
from an
my gosh.
economic perspective. Okay,
They're
well,
just a blip.
so one of the things I learned as I was doing a little research for our conversation is that the United States Department of Agriculture has consistently exaggerated wolf predation figures. So, for instance, in 2015, they multiplied the true figure by 27. In other words, they overstated it by 2,700%. Where can you get this information and know that it's reliable? If our readers want to follow along, what should they be looking at?
I encourage your readers, and I don't want this to sound like a plug. This is a genuine interest. Either if you want a boots on the ground organization that's going to give it to you truthfully, and even if it's not good for wolves, we pride ourselves on giving you the truth. Follow us at Wolves of the Rockies, or more importantly, please visit relistwolves.org. There's information on there that can be defended. What we're finding, Mitch, and this is very, very frustrating. What we're finding is federal agencies like Wildlife Services, the USDA, and especially state wildlife agencies. Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks is doing everything it can to not release information. We currently have 5 FOIAs, which are Freedom of the Information Acts, into the department to get information that used to be provided.
Mm-hmm.
But with the new administration here, a Republican named Gianforte is our governor, everything has come to a stop. And their way of dealing with, the wolf issue is don't give out information, because you're going to find, Mitch, the information that is coming out that used to come out, with no exaggeration, 90% of it supported wolves.
Mm-hmm. Well, Greg Gianforte is quite a piece of work. He recently shot a tag mountain lion in a tree. It's amazing how, the battle going on at the state level for control of our culture and society is really startling. So let me ask you this. As I mentioned in the introduction, Montana and Idaho have passed laws that could eliminate 90% of their wolf populations, and that alone would be a third of the total population in all of North America. Are state legislatures the right venue for wildlife management decisions to be made? And if not, where should they be?
Absolutely not. They should be. Okay, let me give you an example. In the 2021 legislative cycle for Montana, we had two representatives. One is Paul Fielder, who's a representative, and then we had Senator Bob Brown, who is, they live in the northwest corner of Montana.
Mm-hmm. They
passed the bounty bill. So now if you kill a wolf in Montana, you can get anywhere from $500 to $2,500, I think $1,500. They passed a snaring bill, which was never in Montana to begin with. So not only are we going to kill wolves, we're going to kill whatever gets in the way of the snare. And the thing about snares is a snare costs $5, $6. A wolf trap will cost you anywhere from $80 to $150. So they're limited on the amount they can put out there. And if they're put out there, the traps themselves, they're so valuable that the trapper's going to come and get that trap at the end of the season. Snares isn't that way. They can be on the landscape.
Like mines in a former war zone.
They're wildlife mines is what they are. And it's terrible. So then we have the bounty program. We managed to get through a trapper's education program. They extended the wolf hunting season on both ends. But yet the argument that Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks is making is we've only killed 252 wolves this year.
Only.
But the way they count wolves in Montana is with a algorithm called patch occupancy modeling, improved patch occupancy modeling, and then eventually what it is today, integrated patch occupancy modeling. The survey pool to get the number of wolves that they feel are in Montana is only from the hunting community. So in our eyes, it's tainted. So the other thing, Mitch, is when the department says we killed 252 wolves this year, it's what they're not telling you. There's a genuine dishonesty within the department. You have another 45 wolves that were killed with wildlife services, control actions. You have wolves that were killed under what we call Senate Bill 200 or SB 200. So if a wolf comes on your property and you feel threatened, you can kill that animal. Poaching is alive and well in Montana, especially near the border of Yellowstone National Park. So, yeah, okay, 252, but that's not the number. It's what they're not telling you.
So where would you want this kind of policy made if you believed that it would be truly equitably enforced?
Okay.
Is this a federal issue?
I think a couple of things need to happen. I think first, we need to lean on our good friends, the American Indians. They've lived with wolves for hundreds and hundreds of years. They know how to do this. So let's tap into that resource of the American Indians. And they're only too willing to work with us. Mm-hmm. Second, what I think should happen is we need to revamp Pittman Robertson, which is a fund. When you buy ammunition, when you buy rifles, when you buy scopes for rifles, there's a tax on that. And that tax is collected by the federal government. Mm-hmm. And then eventually it's divvied up to all the state fish and wildlife agencies. Okay. It represents only the hunting community. and there's less than 15 million hunters in the US. So that needs to be revamped. And then, to be honest with you, we have been doing this, Wolves of the Rockies, and my colleagues have been doing this for 10 or 15 years, and we have no faith in state management of wildlife. So the federal government needs to come up with legislation that permanently protects large carnivores, and not only protects them, provides oversight and mandates funding for oversight to ensure that these animals are treated fairly and with the best available science.
So would you want to shift some of the money that from the tax that you just described to enforcement?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I'm doing a video right now. We're in the process of putting it all together. It should be out in a couple of days. And what we're talking about is poaching. And the bottom line on this, and this, people are going to have to trust me on this. Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming don't want wolves, and they don't care if you kill wolves. And as I said earlier, we've been doing this for quite a while. We're a boots on the ground organization. We're not doing this for money. It's all volunteer. What we're seeing is law enforcement could care less. Senior leadership in these agencies could care less if wolves are killed. So when they are killed, they don't care. They don't investigate. However, if you kill a trophy elk, oh my gosh, the helicopters are out looking for whoever killed it. They don't want the animals here. In the 10 years that I know of, and we helped with this, we've caught one poacher. And he was fined, I think, either $50 or $200. And what happened was the local anti-wolf organization in Montana called Montana Sportsmen for Fish and Wildlife, they offered to pay his fine.
And that fine was a fraction of what you would get if you killed a wolf, too. I mean, so you're not even being held equitably accountable for your poaching.
It's crazy.
So let's imagine that the wolf is relisted, fingers crossed, and permanently. What are the next steps in protecting their range and helping them reestablish themselves once again? What do we need to do to restore a wolf population that can help manage our natural environment?
Right. Oh, I think what we need to do is I'm going back, I know I sound like a broken record, but we need to tap into the American Indians. They know how to live with these animals. We need the federal oversight. It's got to happen. It's not going to happen at the state level. You know, like I said, you have 15 million hunters in the U.S. We have 300 million people in the U.S. It's the tail wagging the dog. It's special interest driving the boat. Let me give you an example. Governor Gianforte comes in as governor. He appoints a new director for Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks. That director, Henry Warshak, is the past president of the Montana Outfitters and Guides Association. You have 7 commission members on the commission for Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks. One of them is a scientist. 2 of them are outfitters, and the others are large landowners, which is a incognito way of saying livestock producers. Who do you think they're representing? Do you think they're representing the majority of people? This item is a public trust item, and wildlife in Montana belong to everybody. Why isn't the non-consumptive public here being heard?
And that wildlife influences the environment in which we all live, whether we live in Montana or anywhere in the United States or in North America, for instance. So do we need to create funds in order to create safe spaces for wolves? For instance, in Washington State, where I live, there are territories that wolves are protected in. Right. And it would be great to see that kind of a program extended at the national level so that we did get back to a more natural environment.
Right. I'll tell you what Wolves of the Rockies is doing. And I think there's some other groups that are considering doing this, but I know we're doing this for a fact. we have funds, and I'm not plugging our organization. I'm just telling you the way I see it and how I see the future moving along for the best interest of all wildlife. We have on our webpage, we have a section where you can go to, and if you want to donate money, we will put that money in a special fund and we'll hold it till we can purchase habitat that will protect these animals. So say we bought 100 acres of land.
Sure.
We would actually do our homework to figure out where it best fits, where we're going to get, the best connectivity for these animals. And we would allow people to go on this land, and enjoy the backcountry, but you're not going to hunt on it and you're not going to trap on it. And the other thing is we have another section on that same page is if you want to donate land to us, we will oversee that land and make sure that certain stipulations are met. Once again, back to the no hunting, no trapping, wildlife come first. There would be no cattle on that land either. Habitat and forage, especially forage in the backcountry in national forests, the primary user should be the wildlife, not livestock.
So, Mark, I want to thank you for taking time to talk with us today. Please remind us where folks can go to get involved.
Oh, my gosh. I would say this, Mitch. Do your homework. Do your due diligence. But I would say the groups that I see doing the most thing are boots on the ground, local organizations. I encourage you to get involved. People want to hear wolves in the backcountry. They have to step up to the plate and be the voice for those animals, for those wolves. Wolves of the Rockies would gladly help you. Reach out to us. It takes us a little bit of time because we're pretty busy, but we would get back to you. And most importantly, please go to reelistwolves.org. Follow the information on there and be that voice, be that howl for the wolves because they need it. They're in serious trouble right now. I don't think Yellowstone wolves can take another season like they did this year.
Well, let's hope that you make a difference. I want to thank you again for spending some time with us.
Mitch, thanks a bunch, and I welcome everybody to reach out to us. And let's unite. Let's get this done. We can do this.
We've been talking with Marc Cooke. He's an advocate for wolf protection and the president of Wolves for the Rockies. You can find out more at Wolves of the Rockies.org. Wolves of the Rockies is all one word. And of course, do take a few minutes right now and visit reelistwolves.org and find out how you can register your concern with your legislature and with the federal representatives you have, because this is really, we're at the very edge of the existence of a beautiful and important animal. The gray wolf is a social, intelligent being. And I've had personal experience with these animals. They are extraordinarily humane in ways that we generally never attribute to human, or even to any other animals. We need to stop looking down on nature and recognize that it is as rich as our minds and our lives are. It's so important to do something today, folks. This is Earth911 Sustainability in Your Ear. I'm Mitch Ratcliffe, and we will be back with another innovator interview soon. In the meantime, I hope you'll take a few minutes to share this podcast and others with your friends and family. Let's get people out there to defend the wolves, but let's also spread as many ideas as we can about how to reduce our impact on the environment so that we can achieve a world that is truly sustainable. We'll be back soon. Take care of yourself in the meantime. Take care of one another, and let's all take care of this beautiful planet of ours. Have a green day.